You are listening to the USDN on the DSPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. Independent comics have always been about creating outside the traditional system. But what happens when an independent publisher starts building a system of its own? Critical Entertainment is entering a new chapter, with universal distribution bringing its catalog into comic shops across the United States and Canada. The launch of the Indie Comic Alliance, new publishing imprints, new graphic novels, and an expanding lineup of original stories, Critical Entertainment is making moves designed to take independent comics beyond crowdfunding and directly into the hands of more readers. At the same time, Zombie Zero returns in its first deluxe hardcover edition through Zoop, collecting all 7 issues of Christopher's and Leandro's post-apocalyptic series as the property continues its journey toward film. You heard it right, film. And that's only part of this story. Patriot Comic Books is bringing Blackout and God is a Bullet from the screen to the comic book page, while K-Toon Studios looks towards an entirely different frontier, bringing Korean comics to English-speaking audiences around the world. Tonight, we're not just talking about one comic, we're talking about distribution, crowdfunding, collaboration, adaptation, and expansion, and what it takes to build something bigger while remaining independent. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Christopher, Reda. This is Critical Entertainment, and this is the future they are building. This is the United States Department of Nerds. Ladies and gentlemen, the Council of Nerds is now in session. Chris, welcome to the council, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for having me on. It's good to be on the show here.
Appreciate it. And we were talking before we went live, and it was one of those days where the Indie Comic Alliance, I think you had just announced it. It was probably like the day before or the day of. I can't remember which, but I just sent you a message. It's like, hey, dude, I want in. How can I do my part? And you're like, well, I got this thing going that I would love to come talk about. I said, say no more, dude. Let's do it. So I'm excited to have you here and to get to talk about all these great things that you have going on. Probably the busiest man in independent comics right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy. I heard from you, and kind of the whole point of the Indie Comic Alliance is for fans and retailers who love independent books, and it's just a very hard part of the industry to break into and to be an independent creator and get your books in front of people. So this is a good way to make independent books, kind of bigger on a grand scale in the comic industry.
And it's amazing what you are doing. But for anybody right now discovering Critical Entertainment for the very first time tonight, can you give us a quick story of who Chris is and what Critical Entertainment is all about?
Yeah, so I originally went to film school, and I wanted to be kind of like a filmmaker, screenwriter. And when I was there, it was kind of this time where they were adapting a lot of comic books into film, right? Sin City, Watchmen, 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
And
so good.
I kind of went down the rabbit hole of graphic novels. More than just kind of your basic superhero stories. It was just there were all these great books, right? Why the Last Man, other stuff like that were just like these amazing stories that were slice of life or science
Yeah.
fiction or just something different. And I kind of fell in love with comics, started writing more comic books, and found it as an easier method to be able to show producers a story where they could just pick up a comic book, read it, instead of read like an 80, 90 page screenplay that they just flip through, right? So, and then when you're done with a comic, it's like you feel like you're the director of this film that's a comic, and it's all
Yeah.
visualized. You didn't have to spend $80 million. So I started doing a bunch of cons and I'd have Zombie Zero and a few of my shorts and stuff like that. And then I started Critical Entertainment maybe like 9 years ago. Started releasing more comic books. Got into Diamond, and I was being distributed through Lunar as well. So my book was selling. My books were selling thousands of copies across the United
So cool.
States and
Yeah.
Canada, which was great. I'd have friends in Philadelphia be like, "Look, I found your book on the shelf."
That's really cool.
And then I'd be shipping all these comics to people in Florida and like Virginia and on the East Coast in Texas and California and the Northwest and Canada and Norway and internationally. So I just have kind of like an range of independent books here, different genres. We're signing like 4 or 5 new writers. So we're expanding as a publishing company.
That's
And
awesome.
we've made a deal with Universal Distribution, so we can kind of pick back up where Diamond left off. And then we started the Indie Comic Alliance. So now we're going to team up with some other independent publishers and get their books in the stores as well.
Which is so cool to see. But real quick, you brought it up, 30 Days of Night. Did you read the new one?
I haven't.
So good. And I love the way it expands the original story. And they did it in such a great way. And I'm like, because I didn't know what to expect going into it. I'm not going to give it away for people, but go read that new 30 Days of Night, people. You're going to love it. If you love the movie or the original comic book, definitely check it out, because it's a perfect segue into the new story, and the new story picks up where you would expect the original, where you think it's over, to pick up from. So
Interesting.
But so you founded Critical Entertainment in 2017. When you look at where the company started compared with everything happening right now, how close is it to the original vision that you had, or have you completely blown that original vision out of the water?
Yeah, I mean, this where I'm at now is not anywhere where I thought I would be in terms of when I started the company. A lot of it was just publishing my own stuff. But as things moved on, I came up with the Indie Comic Alliance. I teamed up with Thomas Joe, my printer, and it's kind of turned into, why don't we make another type of image type company where you publish a bunch of other imprints, really. But in terms of doing this, everyone gets to keep their logo. They don't have to put our logo on there, or have us tell them what to do or what not to do. So really, I'm trying to expand on being a bigger publisher. I think there's kind of like this space where, you have Marvel and DC, and then you have guys like Image and Boom and IDW. I'd like to kind of jump into that tier of publisher.
No, and you have slowly started to put together the right people to do that with. I mean, you have Wiseacre with Frederick. Shout out to those guys in the House of Wise. who will be returning in October for anybody wondering. The whole team is coming on in October. You got Distillery, which is really cool to see. And I know anybody who don't know, Distillery does more, I don't want to say it's adult theme, but really cool stories that really
Interesting stuff.
all types of genres, but they're really good and they're magazine size. So if you're into the larger size books, definitely check them out.
So I got to add with Distillery, they're still going to be distributed through Penguin Random House.
Are they?
They're exclusive
Okay.
to them.
Okay.
But another part of this Indie Comic Alliance is we're all going to be printing and shipping and doing storage together. So
Okay.
Distillery's really doing the printing part. They're joining in on the printing part, but the idea is that all of us will be printing at the same time through the same printer and bringing all our costs down. So that way, it's like we are a bigger publisher where we get the better rates and we can all print more and be more profitable, but we can be our own independent self and make less titles, not have as many titles, but still get that kind of like big group discount rate. And then, shipping's kind of a big deal, right? Getting stuff to distributors. I would be shipping like 13 boxes via FedEx to Lunar. And that just ate a lot of my costs up. It's really expensive. But
shipping is like ridiculous right now.
So if all of us put all our books onto one pallet and ship it out, we all can share that cost. It's much cheaper. And then your books get less damage too as well. So again, the whole point of us doing this is to be stronger together.
So what does, you basically just answered this question kind of, but what does reaching this level of distribution really mean for not just Critical Entertainment and the guys under the Indie Comic Alliance, but as kind of like a footprint for the larger indie comic community as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, what you find out when you're in comic book shops and through distribution is you gain bigger brand awareness, right? It's a little bit more than just being in a comic book shop. It's now new customers who go into these comic book shops every day. They learn about you. So I would see a huge uptick on our online sales once a book came out. Say the First Americans #2 would come out, someone would pick it up in their comic book shop, and then they'd order issue 1 off our website. Even just simple things of like your book comes out in a comic shop on Instagram, the comic shop does, new comic book day. Here's my shelf with all the new books. Good. You get to learn who's carrying your books. You can share it and put it on your stories. So now you're driving your audience into their bookstores. Then you're giving them a little bit more than just they're buying your book to resell it, right? You become part of this social ecosystem.
The social media ecosystem. And we were literally just talking about that before we went live, and kind of how that it's quid pro quo, Clarice, and everybody's helping everybody. If it's done the proper way, you tag people, you collaborate with people, you share their stuff, not just share it, but add it to your story. That way, multiple sets of eyes can see what is out there, and they can hopefully go, oh, damn, that is really interesting. Let me follow this down the rabbit hole. That way I can find where this book is coming from. And that's really cool that all this is coming together that way. And I've said this for quite some time now, that if everybody does that for everybody, indie comics as a whole, and this has been one of my goals since January, is how do we put indie comic books mainstream into people's homes? And that's one of the biggest ways to do that.
That's one of the big goals too, because I want to be able to sell more of my books, right? And if someone likes my books and they see I'm part of this alliance, they can go to Frederick's, Wiseacre Comics and go, well, okay, I want something similar. They're all part of this network. They can go to our website, see all these different publishers and go, okay, I'm someone who loves independent books. Here's these 15 publishers that all have their independent titles. I might be able to find something that I like. So, right, we have an Instagram and a Twitter or X account.
Yeah.
It's my followers can find Wiseacre Comics, followers, Bent Box, Distillery, all these different places. And now customers can kind of go to a place where they can kind of shop for type of books that
It's so cool, man. And I absolutely love what you're doing, because because every January, right, you sit down and you go, what do I want to accomplish this year? And like my number one goal, not monetization, not how do I get sponsors, not any of that, is my number one goal. How do I make independent comics mainstream, and how do I spread the word to get them in more people's hands and more people's houses? And literally 8 months later, 7 months, something like that, you come rolling through the front door and go, hey, look at what I'm doing. I'm like, he's doing it and I want in. How do I do this? How do I help them make this possible? Because as a team, as a group effort, we can more than get that done.
Yeah, and I go to all these cons, and you go down Artist Alley or Small Press, and there's these amazing books, okay? And they just can't get into comic book shops.
Yeah.
And you can't, blame a company like Boom or IDW or Image for not taking their books, because they already have their own creators, and, they get tons of submissions. And they can only print and publish as many titles as possible, So it's just very hard to break in. So this is just a good way for other small publishers to be able to get into comic book shops, be part of a bigger publishing unit, get better pricing, be more affordable. That our real goal is really to have it so all these publishers, including myself and Wiseacre and Monkey Gong and Bent Box and all this, so we can actually make money even when we're doing well. Because I was doing well through Lunar and Diamond. I was selling thousands of copies, but the print cost was too high. The shipping cost was too high. It's hard for retailers to find independent books. It's hard for customers. It's hard for customers to find independent books.
It really is. So you were at San Diego Comic-Con. I did my thing on San Diego Comic-Con. It's up on Patreon. If anybody is interested in that, if you could just go over to the DFPN Patreon page, look for my San Diego Comic-Con piece. And it's just basically my 2 cents of who won San Diego Comic-Con. And through my lens, look it in from an outside perspective. And I set up my feed, and I was getting all the daily news on San Diego Comic-Con. And the one thing that I thought was really cool coming out of there was independent creators getting a lot of love from their publishers, and the publishers investing into their creators. And the one that I said probably did the best job at San Diego Comic-Con this year was Mad Cave. And I've been trying to get Mad Cave on people's radars for a very long time. Just like, hey, they got great stuff going on. I think people should pay attention to them. And then through my eyes, from the outside looking in, I thought they had a killer San Diego Comic-Con. You were there through your eyes. What was your perspective of San Diego Comic-Con this year, especially now that it really felt like it was more about the comic books? Yeah, Hall H, that's a whatever. That's going to do what it does every year. But through your eyes as a independent comic person, how did you feel San Diego Comic-Con was for an independent publisher?
So one of the best years a few years ago is when they didn't have Hall H and a bunch of Hollywood stuff. So there were more people on the floor. But this year, compared to last year, there were more people for sure. We sold really well. But it was definitely, a lot of people say this year it was a lot busier.
Mhm.
There were a lot more people interested in independent books. And, I had more press people come up to my booth than before.
That's
right?
awesome, dude. I love that.
So I think hopefully we can enter like a golden age of indie books. I think it's just becoming easier and easier. I think stuff like this, Indie Comic Alliance, I think digital comics, global comics, Neon, Ichiban, stuff like that. It opens a lot more doors. And look, I grew up on Marvel and DC and Batman and Spider-Man. Absolute Batman's doing great and stuff like that. But it's another take on Batman, and we've seen it a million times. And this industry is, sequential art. It's not just about superheroes. Okay. Will Eisner was all like slice of life books and all that. So,
and that dude's got an award named after him.
Yeah. And I have a lot of retailers who go, independent books are my bread and butter. So if we can just find a way for them to know about all these different titles and people and books, we can really have like indie comics kind of like blow up in this industry.
And dude, that would be the greatest thing ever. I know I'm always like, when I go to my local comic shop on Wednesdays, and I'm like, hey, you heard of this book? Hey, you heard of this book? And it's all like indie stuff. And he's like, dude, no. I'm like, you should really check this out. You should really get into this and that. And I was telling him about Murder Hobo. And he's like, dude, I read Murder Hobo. I'm like, and? He's like, you're right. I was like, I told you. I'm like, he's like, so you're going to get it, right? Yeah, dude, I'll get it in. I was like, yeah.
There's so many good books. And I learned, it was like, first I was scared, are my books going to be good? And then once I had customers say like my books are good and they liked them and they'd pick up issues 5 and 6 and 7 and stuff like that, I was like, okay, now it's really about just getting found out. And you find all these creators do I have the greatest book since sliced bread,
I've heard that once or twice.
But if you don't want to market, if you don't want to do social media posts or any of that stuff, no one's going to find out about them.
Does it really exist outside of your head if it's not out there for the people to discover?
Yeah. So it's a lot of work. I'm trying to make it so it's easier for retailers and customers to be able to sort through and find something they want and order it through their comic shop so they don't have to pay shipping. And make these comic book stores a little bit more like bookstores than just Marvel.
That's the dream.
Yeah,
that's the dream.
Marvel and DC, promotional shops.
I will say this: my local comic shop does a very good job on independent comics. I think he probably moves more indie comics than he does Marvel and DC. So I'll give him credit. He does do, but I'm wanting him to do more like actual like indie comics. And he every time I bring it up, he just gives me a look, and I'm like, I'm going to win this war someday, and you're going to do it, and I'm going to be in here for final order cutoff with you, circling titles, going, hey, yeah, you want to talk? You want this one? You want this? I'm like, hey, I know that guy right there. You definitely want his books in your store, So I'm waiting for it, and I got a feeling I'm going to have him broken down soon, and we're going to be doing FOC together for independent comics.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be more than just like 5 comic book writers that people know, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, your common person on the street doesn't know a single like well-known comic book writer. It's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, and I can sit here and ramble on 100 different names of independent comic writers, and then when somebody will go, "Oh, but do you know this one guy?" I'm like, "Who?" They're like, "Oh, he works for Marvel." I'm like, "Oh, dude, I don't mess with that. Like, why would I know that guy? Unless he's a really, really big name which, hey, if they got their start in independent comics, I'll probably know who they are. But if they never touched independent comics at any given point, then I probably don't know them."
I mean, just doing this, I've learned about a lot of these great publishers that were maybe in Diamond before,
Mhm.
um, but they would be just, one little square box in that giant 400-page catalog.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a big catalog. We're
And
talking people. The catalog is a catalog.
yeah, you'd get lost, and, there'd be 6 publishers that are like 80% of the catalog because they
Mhm.
get all these pages for free, or they blow all their money on, those pages. Those pages are like $1,500 a piece,
Yeah.
okay, to be in there. So a company like ours couldn't do that. And even when we did, they wouldn't like fulfill the demand it brought sometimes because
That
you
sucks,
just,
man.
you just weren't a priority.
Hey, that's what the Alliance is here to fix for y'all. And but what does the success at the end of the day for the Indie Comic Alliance ultimately look like to you, Thomas, and the team there?
I think it's really that we become another image type like publisher where every retailer can go through our catalog each month when they're ordering books, and they can go, okay, here's the Indie Comic Alliance books. These are kind of these nice indie, maybe, you could say underground type comics, but they can go through and go, okay, let me try out this title.
Yeah.
Let me try out this title and get their customer base to get hooked onto it. So
when do you see like y'all's order book being in comic shops, or when would that be available for local comic shops, your mom and pops out there to get their hands on to order books?
So the goal is for October to be the first solicitation month. So
Let's go right around the corner.
Yeah, so like The First Americans #1, that's my book I'm going to put on there. Wiseacre's going to have 3 books, and then some of the other publishers are going to have books.
I can tell you right now that it's going to be some sweet stuff.
Yeah,
knowing you, knowing Wiseacres, knowing Frederick over there, I know he's going to have like the good stuff on it.
Yeah, so like this is one of my most popular books in comic book shops.
Such a dope cover too. I love that cover, by the way.
Yeah, this cover grabs a lot of people. It's about a tribe of Paleo Indians. They travel from Siberia into North America for the first time.
So cool.
So prehistoric, really cool. People discovering America and befriending wolves and hunting mammoths and fighting saber-toothed cats. That's going to be one that I do first, right? I'm reprinting it. I've sold thousands of copies in comic book shops. And basically it's going to be a 2-month solicitation period. And then the first books will be releasing the 3rd week of January. I want to say like January 20th. So we're starting solicitations October. Everyone's first books are coming out in January. And then we're going to have all our books released on the 3rd week of the month. So the 3rd week of February, 3rd week of March, April, May, June, that way everyone knows when our books are coming out under the Alliance. I call it Independent Comic Book Day, right?
I like it. I like that.
But again, it's to create like a consistency,
but that's so marketable though.
Yeah.
Just calling it that Independent Comic Alliance Day.
Yeah. That way,
3rd Wednesday of the month, dude, that's so marketable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But,
I mean,
dude, I love that. Like, it's genius level marketing right there. You didn't even realize it until you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, that works. That works.
It's us trying to be, again, it's like trying to act like a big publisher with all of us
got
together,
But can you imagine the signs, though, that can go up in front of comic book shops every 3rd Wednesday, Independent Comic Alliance Day?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Use it. Said I'm in it, right? I'm here for you. I'm not even going to charge you the fee for that one. But let's
Oh
talk
man.
about Zombie Zero. So it is getting its first deluxe hardcover edition through Zoop, collecting the complete 7-issue series. Why was now the right time to kind of revisit this story and give it its own hardcover treatment? And what is Zoop for anybody wondering out there?
Yeah, so Zoop is a crowdfunding platform. They specifically do comic books. They're a little bit more hands-on than Kickstarter, so they do a little bit more of the marketing for you, and they can help set up your campaign a little bit more. They have some people who are in the comic industry that run it.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so a little more specific. I had a connection to them through Thomas Joe, my printer here. So I decided to give it a whirl. I've done Kickstarter before, but I
Mhm.
wanted to do Zoop. And they've been great so far. It's just a nice crowdfunding platform. Same deal.
Yeah.
There's reward tiers and the whole shabam. And then you're not as lost in kind of
Mhm.
like the Kickstarter algorithm, right? So they run maybe like 3 campaigns at a time. Um, they have a Frank Miller book up right now. They did like the Art of Descender kind of book for Dustin Wynn,
Mhm.
who I know. And right now we're doing the Zombie Zero Deluxe Hardcover edition. Basically, we have this soft cover that we sell out. I did a big print run of it,
Yeah.
and I sold out of it. So I need to do another print run. And this time I thought I should do a hardcover edition
Mhm.
where I can take the chapter covers that I usually did with single issues. They were color, but in this book it
Stick
was
them in the.
black and white. So
Yeah.
now it's color in there. I added some more like art pages. I like I
Mhm.
all my books I like to kind of do like an art gallery, right? Where you kind
Yeah.
of like show the process. So I added more of those. I added some script pages too, so people can, who want to get
Yeah.
into
See
comic
how the
book writing,
story was. Yeah.
they can see the script page. Then they can see like, layout, pencils, inks, art.
That's so
Um,
cool.
yeah.
I
So
wish more people would do stuff like that. I mean, let me rephrase that. A lot of independent publishers, when they get to the point where they can produce their first trade paperback of their book, they will do those types of things. But then when you get to, like, let's say Boom Studios or IDW, when they release a trade paperback, they're not giving you that kind of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even like my single issues here, I do that. I do like an art
See, that's
gallery,
cool.
and the print that
You
I'm
just
doing
show
for
me a mammoth. Now I want the book.
Yeah, the print I'm doing for Universal, it's gonna be an art edition where I have even more of the art
Nice.
gallery stuff in there. So I like doing that. This is an art form,
Mhm.
um, right? And traditionally, actually, this industry's been really rough on artists. So this is kind of a way for me to like showcase the artist, give them a little bit more boost
Mhm.
um, and marketing. So it also, you get a lot of people who come up to the booth and they go straight to the back of the book. They
Yeah.
want to see the ending. It's kind of a buffer for that. It's like here,
That's
stop
genius. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
pretty genious. But
here,
no, you
stop.
just showed that picture and there's that big mammoth. My favorite animal in the world is the elephant, and the mammoth is just a hairy elephant. When you open that page and it was immediately that mammoth there, I'm like, I want the book.
Yeah.
Like, the cover sold me, but then you showed me a picture of a woolly mammoth. I'm like, now I have to have the book. So
So yeah.
FOC, I'm getting it.
So Zombie Zero. It's always been a very popular book for us. I
Mhm.
sell out of it all the time. And then with printing, it's always about doing big print runs to get a better price. So I blew through my big print run of Zombie Zero here, and I thought, why don't I do a hardcover? Why don't I offer more to customers and retailers or people who've already read the book? And now I can have it's my first hardcover of any of my books.
Yeah.
And then, the film is going to, start going into production soon. So I want to
Perfect
be able to
segue,
capitalize
Chris.
on that.
That's the perfect segue. So, Zombie Zero, for those who don't know, is also optioned for film production at Patriot Pictures. What has this experience taught you about taking a creator-owned comic beyond comics potentially into a whole nother medium, and not just any medium, but film? I think that's every independent comic creator's dream, is to take their work from paper to the silver screen.
Yeah, so as I said before, I went to film school. So it's always been kind of an ultimate goal of mine to work in the film industry. Um, Basically, the producer of Patriot Pictures, Michael Mendelson, found us at Comic-Con.
Oh, cool.
He likes picking up comic book properties. So he also picked up Valentine and The Damnation of Charlie Wormwood, which are two other great indie books.
They are, yeah.
So he optioned it, and he's kind of been a mentor to me, and brought me in with some of the key decisions and wanted to know my perspective of it. So, the fact that I've kind of worked in the film industry helped a lot. You get a lot of comic book creators. They want to have their stuff turned into film and stuff, but they don't know the lingo. They don't know like how to carry themselves, or, like, you can't change a single thing. You can't do that. It's my precious baby. And it's like, well, the producer is going to change things. The director is going to change things. The screenwriter is going to change things. And if you're a prima donna about it, they're going to just go, forget it. You're too much trouble.
Work with you. Yeah.
They're not going to work with you. I also work for him. So I look for comic books that he can turn into films. And we've had some trouble picking up some comic book properties. Sometimes the publisher has a 10% stake in your book, but they need to sign off on it, and I'll be in a Zoom meeting with like 8 people, and I need 8 yeses, and they want to know what the budget is, and if they can change this, and if they can be in charge of that, or is it Paramount or not? It's like, guys, you've never even made a film.
Dude, it's an independent film, most likely.
Yeah, it's more of an indie film, and you're lucky to have something be made.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm telling you, certain books, like Zombie Zero, as a indie like movie, where it's just like gory and bloody and a good story mixed in with that kind of stuff, it's going to be amazing. Like picked up by Screamify or something like that. Shout out to Screamify; they're doing great things over there. But no, it's so cool. From the Council of Nerds, Chris, congrats on Zombie Zero being picked up and optioned for production. It is such a cool thing, and couldn't have happened to a better guy, man. And that's so cool. And good luck with it, dude. It's going to be awesome. I know it is.
Yeah, it's kind of been a dream come true, and I'm hoping this opens the door to more of my stuff being turned into films. I'm working on a screenplay for The Cowboy with Many Hats, so
we're gonna get there. Oh, trust me, I got that. It's in here. But if anybody's interested in picking up Christopher's first hardback, Zombie Zero, that link is actually down in the description. If you want to go over to Zoop and get yourself a hardback like I'm going to do, then that link is directly in the description right now for y'all to check out. But Patriot Comic Books, they're doing something almost opposite to what we normally discuss. Rather than adapting a comic into a movie, they're taking films like Blackout and God is a Bullet, which both really good films, by the way, and bringing them into comics. And I love this. It's really cool. What interested you in exploring adaptation in that direction?
So Michael Mendelson, he picked up Zombie Zero, and he's always loved comic books, right? And he wanted me to make some comic books out of some of his films, mainly promotional. The first thing he had me do was Prisoners of the Ghostland, starring Nicolas Cage. So this was a film that came out.
Nick there, man.
Yeah, maybe like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
You,
this kind
you
of
aged
East,
him very well there.
yeah, this East meets West,
Mhm.
about like two outlaws who rob a bank, um, and things go wrong, right? Um, and it's a prequel to the film.
So
So
cool.
it's kind of one of those things, like if you're at a Comic-Con and you pick this book up for a few bucks and you like it, you can go and watch the film. Or
Mhm.
if you like the film and wanted to see what happened before it, you can pick up the
Like how'd they
comic book.
get there? I
Yeah,
love
how'd
that
they
kind
get
of stuff.
there?
That's some of my favorite stuff to see.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, even the cinematographer is going to want to change things when it comes to adapting stuff.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to Donald. He does Powerscape, the comic book. Great dude, actor. He's got a new show coming out, I believe, on Tubi or something like that. But shout out to Donald, man. Good people right there. And he's also a member of the Council of Nerds. So
Yeah, so that was the first book we did for him, and then the next two is Blackout. So this is a
Josh
full
Duhamel.
graphic novel, nice and thick, like 260 pages.
Mhm.
And the idea of this book, this came out on Netflix. It's about
Mhm.
a CIA agent who goes
Yep.
undercover for a drug cartel in Mexico. He gets in a car accident and then he loses his memory. So
Mhm.
he's trying to figure out things, who he's actually working for, who's trying to betray him. And basically, we take film stills and we turn it into comic book
That's
form.
so cool. That is so
So,
cool.
so it was kind of going in reverse, right? Really high action packed film.
It was
Um,
really
I,
good film. I liked it. I'm a Josh Duhamel fan. I know a lot of people ain't a fan of his, but I happen to like the guy.
I mean, he's great. And I went through this film frame by frame and I chopped it up and put it
Did they
together.
actually give you the 35 millimeter film to chop up?
I mean, I don't think it was 35, but I mean, I took the final like kind of digital print of it,
Ah, okay.
um,
That's cool though.
and I screen grabbed, and you know, uh,
Painstaking.
and I know how to make
Yeah.
comic books. So I made it really dynamic and action
Did
packed.
you do that alone?
I did it mostly alone. Yeah,
Oh,
it took
dude, you had to.
forever.
Oh my god.
It took forever.
Break that down for people because I really need them to understand the amount. Like I could do a screen grab of what we're doing right now. For instance, if I needed a picture of you to use on the thumbnail
Yeah,
later, I could just grab it from here. That's one. Takes me about 30 seconds to grab it, cut it, and make it pretty. I then have to process it, bring it up to 4K, whatever. He had to literally do that thousands of times to make
frame
that book for y'all, frame by frame.
frame by frame. Each action sequence you had to get the right frame of, so it comes out and you can see the fighting,
That
um,
is absolutely
and then
insane, my man.
break it down by page, and panel by panel. So, I had to make it real dynamic. You go through, you get all the dialogue from the film,
Mhm.
make sure they go in the right panel and get it to the letterist.
You are
Um,
insane.
it took thousands of hours, thousands of hours.
Insane, my man. But dude, it's so cool to see because I really enjoyed that movie.
So we did that too with God is a Bullet. And then Ben Miller did part of this too. So he
That's cool.
helped on this, but it's the same deal. We take the
Yep.
film stills, we put it together. This one stars Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Mhm.
He, most people know him as Jaime Lannister from Game
Yep.
of Thrones.
I think
Um,
this was done during one of the seasons of Game of Thrones, if I'm not mistaken.
I think after. I think
Or
after
right
the
after. Yeah, right after.
yeah. Um, and it's directed by Nick Cassavetes, who did The Notebook and a bunch of other films.
Mhm.
Um, and this one's about this cop whose daughter gets kidnapped by a satanic group.
Yep.
So he has to work with one of the ex-members to kind of infiltrate this group and get his daughter back. So another like action-packed kind of like thriller film. Um, And yeah, it's kind of one of those things. If you like the film, you can kind of read the
Mhm.
book and have it frame by frame. Or for a lot of people who haven't ever seen the film, there it is right there. You can kind of just
Mhm.
read it.
Read
So
it and then watch it. That's what I always tell people when I see books being adapted into film. Like, we know something is killing the children is getting a film adaptation or TV series adaptation and also an animated adaptation. And I keep telling people, read it before you are able to watch it, just because I think there's nothing that compares to me to comic books and the amount of
so
story and imagery you can get out of comic books. I got a
so I
feeling
mean,
the TV series will be great and all, but the comic book.
so Michael here, he has two full books and a nice comic, of an extension of some of his films. And he can be kind of part of this comic book industry. He loves going to Comic-Con.
It's really cool.
I have a Critical Entertainment booth, and then I run a Patriot Comic Book booth as well. So great marketing and promotion for him.
Yeah. It's cool because it's not something you see often. I think I've only seen it. Actually, I'm trying to remember the last time I've seen something like that done. I think for the Ahsoka comic book that Rodney Barnes wrote, I think there was some stills they took from the TV series they used in the comic book mixed in with the stuff that was drawn. And I thought that was kind of unique that
Yeah.
Marvel did that. And shout out Rodney Barnes too. Love that guy. And that was just something that came to my head that they also kind of pulled stills from when they do the comic covers with the live action
Yeah, they do
characters. I
that
think that's
too.
really cool. Yeah. But here's one of my favorite ones that y'all are doing. And it has, because I have such a deep history with the country, and that is you've launched K-Toon Studios to bring Korean comics to English speaking audience. What opportunity did you kind of see in K comics that convinced you that this needed to become its own imprint?
So Thomas Joe came to me about this. We print in South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and so he has a lot of connections over there, and all the comics over there are digital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
and pretty much all manhwa is digital.
Yep.
Um, and he thought, maybe in the U.S. market, if we can get Korean comics as popular as manga is, and we have physical prints and just make standard comic book form, but with Korean creators, he
Yeah.
can be a publisher now and publish some new stories.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We can throw them on digital form as well.
Yeah.
But
But Red
there's
as a comic book would be so
yeah,
cool.
there's a giant market. There's a giant hole where you can have Korean comics be printed out. Um, I went to Italy last year, and the bookstore I went to, it was like one, large shelf of comic books and then like 5 shelves of manga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is room to grow. And everything here is kind of like under webtoons. So I know Penguin has an imprint where they print out some of the
They do.
webtoon
Yeah.
comics, but really that's it,
It's a hole
and that,
there.
yeah. So there's a big hole in the market. Thomas wants to, publish some new comics, and he wants to go through us to
Tap
do
it.
it. Yeah.
Tap it. I think it's a great opportunity, not just for you all who are bringing this to the American audience, but the American audience who may not necessarily know how to read some of those. They're interested because Korean culture and the K-pop and that kind of stuff is so huge right now. And if you could put that kind of stuff in front of the American audience, I got a feeling there's a area of the American public that are just going to eat that up, right? And it's good for everybody. It's good for Korea. It's good for the artists over there, the writers over there who are making these sometimes often weekly comic strips, these weekly manhwas that they're doing, and then pulling into the North American audience. And from North America, you know it's going to spread.
Yeah.
Like once it's there, it's going to spread like fire.
And they don't have a lot of avenues, right? It's like webtoons, and that's kind of it.
So I will say here in recent years, we've seen a lot of artists and writers who are getting are making finally coming to the American market, especially within the covers and stuff like that. And a couple of years ago, in I think it was A Cruel Universe from EC Comics, one of the stories that was produced in there was written by a Korean, which was really cool. I follow him on Instagram now, and they were really difficult to track down because it was my favorite story from that copy of it, and I just wanted to literally just shoot him a shout out and go, "Hey, there was a lot of great stories in this, but you absolutely nailed it." And now we talk, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, just hey, just wanted to check in and see how you were doing type of stuff. But I do wish we could get more of that over here, especially the Korean horror. That is an untapped market that needs to make its way over here so badly.
Yeah, so like Train to Busan, that was originally a comic book.
Part 2 is coming.
Yeah, part 2.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Korean. Netflix has picked up a lot of Korean content.
So much K-drama on Netflix.
And
it
a lot
makes
of
my
that,
wife happy, so keep it coming.
Yeah, a lot of that has originated from comics over there. So look, if we jump on this train to Busan, if we kind of get into this market and we can get them in the comic book shops through Universal
100%.
and stuff like that, just more content.
I've actually taken the train to Busan before. It wasn't that bad, and there was not that many zombies that I personally remember. But no, dude, killing it right now, my man. So when we put all this together, Universal Distribution, the Indie Comic Alliance, Patriot Comic Books, K-Toon Studios, crowdfunding in your original critical entertainment title, it feels like you're simply publishing individual comics and more like you're building an infrastructure around independent publishing. Everything you've done has been very intentional and very deliberate. And it's really cool to see what you are doing. But as this continues to grow, how do you scale the business without losing the independence and creative freedom that has allowed you to build it all in the first place?
I mean, that's the hard thing, is I have much less time to write and be creative. But that's kind of the reality of it. It's what I said before. It's like you might have the best book ever, but if you don't have put any business into it, you're in trouble. And I never really thought of myself being more of like a publisher editor, but now I am. I'm basically heading all these different indie publishers to go through Universal. I'm signing 4 or 5 other writers for critical entertainment. I'm going to help Thomas with selecting and publishing Manhwa titles. I have Michael Mendelsohn at Patriot Pictures with doing Blackout and God is a Bullet and comics out of his films. So, the name of the game is try to have a business that works,
Yeah. It is working. Business is booming.
Try to have a career that goes, and it's kind of sad that I feel like I have to be this champion of independent books, but it's just how the industry was set up. I'd be going to comic book shops just selling my books at the bat, and I had a lot of retailers who were like, if you're not Marvel and DC, you shouldn't even have a publishing company, and it's like,
that's the ass backwards thinking that.
Yeah, it's like,
and what's crazy is those are the current comic shops that are going under.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to read DC and Marvel anymore. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. I think Marvel and DC made a lot of, well, not DC, but Marvel made some really good announcements at San Diego Comic-Con for comic books that are coming. And some of them are okay. Will I read them? No. Because I'm tired. It doesn't work for me no more.
I mean,
So
imagine if Barnes and Noble only had two publishers that they sold books
yeah,
of. It doesn't make sense.
you would miss out on so much.
Yeah.
Like I would have never discovered Alex Segura, who, oh, by the way, writes comic books as well, if that was the case. And I would be heartbroken by that.
But
So
but look, some of these creators I'm signing to do books, they're like, "Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a dream come true and get my book in the comic book shops and I can kind of mentor them and help them in making the best comic book possible and then they can go and shop it around to get optioned into a film." Um,
But
and
it's
then
kind of felt good to be in the position, though, to help move this industry, to move independent comic books forward. Because I feel like we've kind of been here for the longest time. And here comes Chris, here comes the Independent Comic Alliance, just kind of like ready to really put their foot into it and kick this ball down the road where it needs to be.
yeah, I can take a lot of these publishers who won't get looked at twice from another indie publishing company,
Mhm.
and try to get them into bookstores and at least give them the option of growing.
Mhm.
Um, and being in retailer stores is kind of just the name of the game. It gives you kind of some legitimacy.
Yeah. It's cool, man. I'm so here for it. And like I said, when I sent you that message, wherever I can help out to kick that ball down the road with you, you want me to hold the football? I
Yeah,
got you. And I won't even pull it away from you.
yeah.
but
Don't peanuts me.
exactly, I would not do that to you. But that was a good one. But you've already announced a lot this year for 2026, but you're also bringing new creators, new books into critical entertainment. Why should creators who may be interested in working with critical entertainment, maybe joining the Indie Comic Alliance, know about what you're looking for and kind of like what it is when you go to assess these things, what you're looking for, and kind of like just like other than going, hey, pick me.
Yeah. So I get a lot of submissions, right? So that's where I learned, like, when I was submitting to places and people don't get back, it's because they're busy. Okay, right? I'm really busy. I can't look at everyone's submission. I tell a lot of these people who submit to me, go to LA Comic Con, go to San Diego Comic
Mhm.
Con, go to Anaheim WonderCon, come up to my booth and meet me and try to establish a relationship with me.
Yeah.
Same thing in the film industry. People work with people that they like and
Mhm.
want to be around. It's so competitive. All these industries, comics, film, all that.
Yeah.
I'd rather work with someone I like, you know. Um, so like, I met Francis Marfone through an agency, right? Kind of like a film agency, and he's interested in making films and using comic books as a vehicle for that. I mean, he's real excited. He posts stuff on social media. He collaborates with us. He came to Comic Con and went on our panel, but he also came to the booth with flyers and he handed out flyers and he got people to the booth. And I told him, this goes a long way. You know,
Mhm.
it's if you want to get your book made, we need to be able to sell them. And if you're just a guy who's like, my book's the greatest of all time and I don't need to sell it, I don't need you there because
Yeah.
the
Then
best person
why
who's
are
going to
you
sell,
approaching me?
yeah, the best people who's going to sell your book is you. Tommy Halls, he has Kingsville. He has the first
Yeah.
3 issues. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's very well connected.
What is it? World War Comics or
Yeah,
something like that? Yeah.
World
Yeah.
at War Comics.
Yeah. I've been following him for years, and he's between him, the Longbots Punk, and a few others. When I made my transition from the pop culture side of the house, new comic book day side of the house to go, I'm going to, shoot my shot. Like, hey, if any comic book creator, and this was just like a in general type of thing, I just blasted social media. If an independent comic creator wants to, or just a comic creator wants to come on and talk to my audience about comic books, pick me. I'm here. I got a platform. Let me utilize it to help further you and tell your story. And if it wouldn't have been for a creator to go, hey, I have this book coming out. Can I come on and talk about it?
Yeah.
Yes. And that kind of, once that show was over and I was sitting there, I was like, this is it. That's the direction I needed. And I've been doing it ever since.
He has a lot of indie creators on there.
Mhm.
So I was on his show a lot, and he had his book, and I was like, if I get him in a comic book shops, he's going to be able to sell them.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be able, he goes to cons, he can sell them at cons. He's doing a Kickstarter for Kingsville #1 right now. So we're
I was gonna say, I've just seen it today. Like it's hitting popularity. I know like Dark Pink, he just dropped his volume 2 of his book, which I think is already up to like $20,000 in like 3 days or something. So yeah, dude, and so I was saying World War, like Tommy Hall's Long Box Punk. These are some of the guys when I decided to do this. And as this, I sit down and watch hours and hours of their work just to, learn how to do a good interview. And then I'm like, okay, I like what they're doing. I want to tell stories, not a comic book story. I want to tell the creator's story, which is something they kind of do, but they do the comic book side of things. And I wanted to tell the creator's story. And that's what I've been doing ever since, for like, I think 2 years now. And it's been amazing because I got to do this. And it's really cool to get to do this kind of stuff and get like kind of some behind the scenes and get into the mind of the person making all these amazing, cool things happen. But for readers watching tonight, after everything we've talked about, what should they be watching for next from Christopher, the Critical Entertainment, and the Indie Comic Alliance?
Yeah, so at least from Critical, The First Americans #4 is being illustrated. That's going to be an 8-issue series.
Okay.
So real popular series. Planetary Expansions, my ongoing. There's 8 issues. 6 have been released in comic book stores, so 7 and 8 will come out, and that's ongoing. And then, we're doing, Tommy Hull's books, Kingsville.
And that looks so good too.
Yeah, Mike Smith, one of our new creators. He has Tazara #1 and Rhythm and Combat. Those are ongoing. Jonathan Chance, we're signing. He is doing Moonlit Palms. It's going to be like a 60-page kind of one-shot, smaller graphic novel. Jack Roberts has a book called SWAT Man. That's like 5-6 issues. That's a 12-issue series. And then Francis Marfone doing The Wheel Turner. That's going to be a limited series. So that's all our new creators. And then, Indie Comic Alliance, we have 15 different publishers, 15, 16 publishers starting in October. So, look at Universal Distribution, look at our October solicitations. Tell your comic book stores, hey, you want some more indie books? Even if you just order 1 book, maybe the store will order 2, right? So they can sell an extra one. So,
hey, if you shoot me a message when that goes live, I'm going straight to my local comic shop and be like, hey, I want this book, this book, this book, this book. And he's going to look at me and go, I hate you, but okay.
And look, if you like Critical Entertainment books, look at Wiseacre
100%. And he was just on here. So if anybody's not familiar who Frederick Littles is, his episode aired in July. It's live on podcasting platforms. It's live on YouTube. Go see what Frederick is about. He has some amazing things going on over there. And they're coming back in October with the House of Wise.
Yeah, look, Red 5, Ray Media Comics.
Red 5, another great one. I've had one of their creators on too.
Bent Box, Phantom Blade Productions, and there's some other newer type publishing companies coming out. Monkey Gong, Bear Treasure Studios, Norwal Press, 2510 Press with Stephen Prince. So we just a lot of really good books that have never gotten the love to be in a comic book shop. So or order our books. That's the best way to help us and to help other future indie creators.
It really is. And doing this is telling the local comic shops that independent comics sell. And if you want to continue to see them selling, you have to be willing to go into your local comic book shop and demand they carry this stuff. Ask for it by name. And that right there is helping the entire independent comic industry get our slice of that $1 billion pie that Marvel and DC and these other bigger publishers get to enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But Chris, before we get out of here, the floor is yours. Where can everyone find Critical Entertainment? Check out Zombie Zero Zoop campaign and follow everything you're building and to support your books. So
you can go to zoop.gg. It'll show all the campaigns that are going on. Zombie Zero's one of the ones up there. Our website, www.criticalentertainmentla.com, is the best place to pick up some of our books and have them shipped out directly to you. We also have patriotcomicbooks.com, and then indiecomic.alliance.com as well. And then we use Instagram a lot. There's critical_entertainment and indie_comic_alliance, right? We're on X, TikTok. We have a YouTube channel. So we're across all social media. You guys feel free to message and DM us. I'll try to get around to answering questions, but there's contact emails on all those sites as well. So if you guys have any questions, you can find us there. And look for us in Universal.
All those links that he just mentioned, for the most part, are down in the description below. So make sure you go give them a follow. And if you're not following USDN yet, give us a follow too. We appreciate every single one of those guys who hit that button that says follow. But so is there anything else that we did not cover tonight that you would like to have a chance to talk about? I'll give you the floor real quick and let you get out anything else that I did not cover tonight off your chest.
Let's see. Planetary expansion, ongoing series. I have Space Dragon. This is a really good graphic novel. It's 7.5 by 12. About this huge dragon. He can hop from planet to planet. And he's going look for a new water source. Super visual, really, really cool book.
Oh, look at that. High glossy pages too. That's that good print right there.
It's nice printing. The Cowboy with Many Hats. It's a short about a sheriff. He thinks he's on top of the world. He gets framed for murder, and he has to go on the run. Another book by Tad Galusha and myself. So this has been real popular. I'm making a screenplay. I'll eventually do a limited series on this later. But Leandro Rizzo, Alonso Molina Gonzalez, Tad Galusha, they're the artists I work with the most. They're amazing. I've worked with them for over 10 years. I work with a lot of amazing artists and writers. So there's a lot of fun stuff here at Critical Entertainment. Different genres, something up everybody's alley.
I love it, bro. It's amazing. And I can't wait to see what is next for you, the Alliance, and everything that you're doing. Because, dude, you're on top of it right now. And honestly, I can say I want to wear your shoes because you've got your hands in all these pies. But at the same time, you're handing a lot of pies, my man.
Yeah.
But Chris, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been great learning more about Critical Entertainment, the move into national distribution, the Indie Comic Alliance, Zombie Zero, Patriot Comic Books, K-Toon Studios, and everything you're building for the future. We wish you nothing but success with the Zombie Zero Deluxe Hardcover campaign, everything that you have ahead of you with Critical Entertainment, and we look forward to seeing where this next chapter takes you and the creators that you are working with. To everyone watching, all of Chris's links, including Critical Entertainment, Indie Comic Alliance, his Zombie Zero Zoop campaign. All those links, like I said earlier, are down in the description for you to check out before you get off the offline tonight. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with somebody who loves independent comic books or somebody you think should love independent comic books, and that should be everybody. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, this has been the USDN Podcast, where indie comics come to life. Ladies and gentlemen, the Council of Nerds is now adjourned. Y'all be safe out there.
It's a trap!